Consciousness, mind, entropy, syntropy. This fascinating subject may be linked to how our consciousness is all about and may explain the intricacies of everything that we would like an explanation for in terms of how consciousness works and the workings of nature and life. Be warned, it is not an easy subject to digest but may turn out to be the most enlightening subject covering consciousness, mind, entropy, and syntropy. So, let's dive in right now to know more. René Descartes, who was a renowned philosopher with a famous philosophical quote, "I think, therefore I am." He has brought up a real introspective element into how consciousness truly works. From this, we can confer that it coincides with the Hermetic law of mentalism, which explains that everything is fundamentally mental. Having to understand that everything is mental, which also corresponds to another universal law of correspondence, famously termed as within, so without. This basically means that whatever circumstances, people, or incidents that happen to us were a direct correlation to what is within us at a mental level and then projected as an outward expression of us through tangible physical consequences of what was internal of us. You can also look around you and look at what others are going through, and there will also be undeniable interconnection between the state of mind and the circumstances happening at the same time. It is a mirror reflection of within, which is internal, and without, which is external. When we change the way we process the problem internally by a positive intention to override the negative emotions which added energy to make the situation more challenging for us, we can see that the dire circumstances change towards a positive outcome. All that had happened was only the thought processes. Universal laws will be working in compliance to how we react in the mental domain and arranges in an algorithmical manner in a favorable or unfavorable fashion according to how we react mentally. When we process it in our mind and create a solution, we are affecting the law of syntropy to counter the entropic state. Now, you can look at the left side of the table, which will be the characteristics and properties associated with entropy. And on the right side, you'll be able to see the characteristics and properties associated with syntropy. The law of entropy simply just means disorder and is diverging with physical energy in a forward-in-time manner. It describes energy that diverges from a cause and requires that the cause be in the past. This is also congruent to the law of second thermodynamics, which is easily understood as a state whereby hot becomes cool by nature. It will never be the other way round. It will never be a cold coffee becoming hot over time. It is a diverging, radiating outward movement of energy where things degrade by nature in the same direction as time flows in a forward direction. Another way to explain this is that heat transfers energy from higher to lower temperature but will never be in the reverse direction. Degradation of hot things always turns to cool unless something is done to stop it. So any hot liquid left alone will follow the natural order of entropy unless someone takes the cold drink and starts to heat it up, and now it becomes hot again. The action of taking the coffee and making it hot again is the act of syntropy. However, the backward in time describes energy as converging, and it converges from a future cause. It will still be a cause, but this time this cause is from the future, effecting a positive outcome instead. It is a concentrated, directed energy which is goal-orientated, where the cause is not from the past but coming from the future. This is called the law of syntropy. While entropy is the tendency towards chaos, disorder, and disorganization, syntropy is the opposing force which drives order, structure, organization, and complexity into harmonious structured systems. Syntropy is opposite to entropy. Luigi Vantappia, who was an Italian scientist, mathematician known for work in mathematical analysis. He discovered that syntropy has qualities associated with life in the same way consciousness is. Order and structure is decreased with time for entropic energy, whereas syntropic energy forms order and structure when time is increased. Entropy, which is associated with chaos, disorder, diseases, disintegration, etc., will mean that anything starting from form will break down unless energy is put in to stop entropy. When entropy is high, crises are experienced. And when entropy is low, crises recede and well-being is experienced. In an organism, the level of internal disharmony or disorganization is entropy, and the opposite effect is syntropy. The sum of these two fundamental elements is the magnitude of the health of the organism at the present moment. In other words, energy is a fixed quantity which cannot be newly created or destroyed, but can only be transformed into other states. So this means that the total amount of energy can be referred to as the sum energy in the syntropic state, which is concentrated, and energy in the entropic state, which is dispersed, will be total energy equal entropic energy plus syntropic energy. So this infers that an organism's health at present state will be the sum total of both types of energies. This determines the degree of entropic dissonance, translating to the state of health with the syntropic resonance, where the amount of concentrative healing factors neutralizing the negative effects are available or high enough or not to level out. For instance, if someone is going through challenges in their health and disregards the symptoms, the intangible syntropic effect will be overridden by the natural entropic effect. The health takes a toll and begins to break down. On the other hand, if someone having the same issue begins to do something about their circumstances by choice, of either supplementing their body by holistic measures such as healthy diet, listening to calming therapeutic music, or light exercises, then the amount of syntropic energy increases and the maintenance of their state of health is achieved, bring about healing to their body. Another example will be shown in plants and other living things. Plants need water and sunlight in order to grow, which are essentially energy. And if you stop giving it energy, which means if you stop giving the plant water and sunlight, it will just cease and disintegrate. Entropy will be reversed or reduced only when effort and energy is given. The constant balancing act of staying in equilibrium is both a skill and necessity of life. An example would be our body having around 100 trillions of bacteria in our gut, but not all are good bacteria though. There are bad bacteria which are kept in check by the good bacteria. As any living organism, even as a human being, if homeostasis is not achieved within the gut system, the good bacteria will be overridden and entropic states start to happen, affecting the immunity and allowing diseases to set in. The need for effort in creating a healthy diet, lifestyle, choices made to enhance our health aligned with Syntropy will keep our health in check, maintaining equilibrium, not allowing entropic factors to take over. One more noteworthy example is a research done on the effects of group meditation in the year 1993 on crime rate, where volunteers went to Washington to group together meditating with focused awareness. There were only 1,200 volunteers at week 4 when the crime rate had decreased only 2%. As time went on, more people gathered and joined in to meditate, and at week 5, there were 2,750 people. Now, the crime rate has reduced to 7%. At the end of final week, which was week 8, the group size was at its largest, which was around 4,000 people. At this stage, there was a whopping 23.3% reduction in crime rate. A follow-up study yielded a greater result. Between 2007 to 2010, the crime rate dropped to 28.4%. To explain the significance of this crime rate reduction in practical sense, 4,136 murders were prevented by the reduced trend in murder rate during the intervention. What this shows is that if the entropic condition prevails, things like crime rate will increase. Despite that, if effort and energy was given like the group meditation, entropy reduces. We can also look at evolution, and you can see that life is progressing from simplicity to complexity. As time moves forward, life and creation becomes more complex and at the same time more structured and organized. Whilst the law of entropy works as time progresses, the law of syntropy also counters the entropic processing towards degradation, causing life to progress in complexity and structure. Studying the properties of entropy, Fantapia discovered evidence shown in creation and life, where he noticed the parallel workings exhibited in nature, seeing finality, differentiation, variety, order, and organization. Given this discovery, we can say that the microscopic level of our reality does not translate to the macroscopic level in direction symmetry. So if we apply a syntropic way of life by order, tranquility, health, happiness, humility, peace, unconditional love, and compassion, etc., we are reducing entropy and creating order in an immeasurable way on the humanity collective level. It will be an individual effort on our own at the microscopic level to effect a huge transformative change on the macroscopic level. This also expresses a strong fundamental truth about the universe, that disorder is characterized as a quantitative energy moving spontaneously outward, which is entropy, and it always increases as time moves forward. As the Big Bang expands into creation, entropy increases, characterized by the outward expansion and diverging effect. Hence, if creation is entropic, which is a natural order of things on the physical level, there is a need for qualitative converging syntropic energy, which concentrates inward so that entropy can decrease. The most compelling evidence and truth can be seen in everyday life. It is imperative to question everything in life by watching and observing things around us instead of listening to others blindly. When we are not using our reasoning mind by essence of the neocortex region of our brain, we are believing stories made up for us through the negative emotions governed by the limbic system and fears triggered by the reptilian part of our brain. And even if we were being told that life is predetermined and there are no way we can change any hopeless situation due to karma, it is shown in the discovery of the law of syntropy by the Italian scientist Vantapia and also biochemist Szent-Gyorgyi that the contrary to predictable outcome by way of entropy will be rendered powerless in the face of syntropy. The use of neocortex is syntropic as it requires energy and effort to override the entropic automated response of anger, fear, or worry, etc. It takes conscious effort to put in the energy into thinking and creating intentions for a better outcome as compared to the automated, uncontrollable responses. We can align to syntropy to create a new cause for ourselves. This is also shown in real life where deterministic future, which was driven by the cause from the past, could very much be resolved through following the law of syntropy, applying unconditional love, compassion, understanding, peace, and wisdom into every intention that we make in order to align with the new cause from the future. Only through the right intentions and actions can we be able to effect a powerful turnaround for ourselves and the human collective, since the natural order is entropic in nature. The more we apply the right attitude in life aligning with the law of syntropy, unpredictable phenomena like synchronicities, insights, abundance, and miracles can be seen in our lives. The chaos, disorder, madness that humanity is creating increases entropy. On the other hand, when we decide to do the right thing, we are definitely reducing entropy, which also means we are aligned with the law of syntropy. Consciousness expansion focusing on syntropic energy to create and transmute dissonant energies into coherent and organized order will ensure continuation of life, extension of love, and health. The invisible effort of mental intervention through meditation on a microscopic level on an individual basis can create a transformative effect on a bigger collective levels to others. The link among consciousness, mind, entropy, syntropy, and even the interconnectedness of everyone to us is evidential. And when we recognize how powerful our consciousness and mind is, we should be in a good position to align with syntropy, doing limitless good for ourselves, everyone around us, and even for collective humanity as a whole. The demonstration of all is one is greatly emphasized. We are not individual beings doing living lives separate from everyone. We are all intricately connected by an invisible web to be discovered for those with a seeking heart.